You're watching CS 105.1, where I talk about sports and movies with good vibes. And the good vibes keep on coming because the Nuggets are on a winning streak. Let's get it. Hey everyone, let's talk sound quality. Imagine having pro-level audio that's easy to set up, flexible, and sounds incredible. That's the Røde Pod Mic USB. It's got both USB and XLR connections, so whether you're recording solo at home or in a full studio setup, you're covered. And get this, the built-in DSP effects let you adjust the sound with zero lag. You get that deep, smooth broadcast tone right out of the box. It's versatile, powerful, and basically makes your voice sound like pure gold. How's it going, everyone, and welcome. I'm CS Chandler, here for another take of Nuggets basketball. We won, baby. We won another game. We're on a winning streak. It's like that. It's like 2023 all over again with winning against the Heat. Phenomenal game tonight. The Nuggets really came out with a lot of good energy, at least offensively. I'll get into a lot of the ups and downs of the game, but just a really great way to continue with a 4-game winning streak. They really flipped it around from the start of the season with a couple of losses there. They're really starting to mesh together and play well. Tonight they played against the Miami Heat. They won 135-122, and this now is a 6-game winning streak against the Heat. Last season, they swept the Miami Heat, and so the Heat were coming in with a determination to get a win against us, but then also they are on a losing streak right now, so they just really desperately needed a win, but we weren't going to let them, and it was Finals 2023 all over again, rematch, and we won again. Now we just have to go over to Miami eventually and sweep them again this year. Let's hope that they do that. But great game. So my first takes of the game, again, this was the first time these two teams have met this season, and the Nuggets were able to sweep them. They have won the last 5 games. The last time the Miami Heat won was the second game of the Finals in 2023, and I was actually at that game, unfortunately, to see that loss. Was hoping for a win that game. Would have much rather been at a winning game, but, still awesome experience to be at a finals game for the first time ever. So definitely, hopefully, I can go back to see the Nuggets win an actual finals match. But this game was won on offense tonight. The defense started off great, but then evaporated throughout the game. A lot of people have noticed that the Nuggets have had a 3-game winning streak when Brody is on the starting lineup, and so Jamal was scheduled to come on, and they were all worried that he would ruin the Nuggets vibes, and they wanted him to not start. But Blue Arrows show up and proved why he deserves the position that he has on this team. It also, once again, showed how dominant Jokić is and how critical he is to the Nuggets' success. There are a handful of teams that have at least a player that if you take that player off the court, the entire team suffers. The Nuggets are one of those teams, proving how valuable Jokić is. One could even say that he's the most valuable player. He had another phenomenal night tonight. I mean, he had a couple of turnovers, but he has really kept his turnovers down lately now, and he's just rocking it. He is going to be MV4. He should be MV4, and let's hope that happens. But the starters were Michael Porter Jr., Peyton Watson, Jokić, Christian Brown, and Murray. So Murray came back from his concussion protocol. He had a night. He was definitely amazing tonight. The start of the game, really, first quarter, the Heat win the tip-off. The Nuggets get off to a great start, though, and a bunch of blocks and made threes. The defense lead Heat to a shot clock violation early on. Nuggets then fall asleep, but on the play, but luckily were able to bounce back. Like, I think they had just got the shot clock done, and then they were all heading back thinking that there was going to be an inbound. but they let them play, and so the Heat almost were able to recoup the ball, but luckily they were able to bounce back and get that, and they quickly got to an 11-point lead early on, but then Jimmy Butler got a ankle sprain or ankle issue or whatever, and he was limping around, and he had to exit the game. He didn't come back, and so now the Heat are down with no Jimmy Butler. And as soon as that happened, I saw almost a switch in the rest of the Heat, that they got really aggressive and their defense really amped up a lot more. The officiating, once again, was not great against the Nuggets, but they were also kind of letting some stuff go with the Nuggets against the Heat. So there was a miss and one call against Jokić that was pretty unfortunate, but what's new? They just don't like calling shit on Jokić at all for giving him anything. But I will say that I have seen a lot that the stats say that the Nuggets are not right now the most favorable team with free throws. I don't know how that's possible. It doesn't really feel like that at all, at least from a Nuggets standpoint. It seems like we should be going to the line a lot more than we are right now. The defense was focused and well-organized offense, which took the Nuggets lead to 16 in quarter one. And then Duncan Robinson, who is a guy who was a huge problem for the Nuggets during the finals. He banks in a long-distance three to bring the Nuggets lead down to 13, and the Nuggets ended up winning the first quarter 27-40. This was the first time leading the first quarter since they played the Jazz. But then also the fact that they got to 40 within the first quarter is just amazing. And then the Heat in the second quarter, Heat defense really, like I said, it just got super aggressive, and which was unfortunate because then around this time is when Malone likes to try to play his bench, the second unit, and against OKC, for some reason, the bench really came out and showed that they could be reliable. And then today they just kind of fell asleep, and they were not the bench that played OKC at all. They were rather horrendous tonight, if I can say that. They only played Strawther, Westbrook, Tyson, and Zeke Naji tonight. Zeke Naji only got 3 minutes, so they really relied more so on Strawther and Westbrook. And Westbrook actually had a lot of meaningful minutes. He had 10 assists off the bench, which is crazy. I was really hoping that he would get a double-double again. I'm just really hoping that there's a game that we get to see Jokić get a triple-double and Russ a triple-double, or at least a double-double. It would just be fun for all basketball fans right there. The Heat score a bunch of more threes in the second quarter, and they're not contested. The Nuggets keep on just leaving players open on the opposite team, wide open for threes, and this happened several times throughout this game as well. Hunter Tyson, who had some minutes, overall he played 9 minutes tonight, but he gets a little too aggressive to the point of fouling, and kind of unnecessarily aggressive. So it's not like hard heart in there trying to get some defense going and just really playing hard. It's him almost like playing like a footballer. Like there was a couple times where he rammed his shoulder into the opponent, and it's like, calm down, Hunter. You're gonna hurt us more than you're gonna help us. But and then also the offensive rebounding really got stale in the second quarter, and more or less rebounding in general. The Heat just again kind of bounced back a lot. We had at one point it was like a 16-point lead, and then they dwindled it down to 3. Malone at that point calls the starters back in to restore order, right? And they are able to get the lead back up to 5. Murray then gets back in, and he gets the lead up to 10. The Nuggets are not able to get the ball to their other guys in transition, which causes turnovers and then points for the Heat. And so then that kind of keeps on coming back, and then the Westbrook gets a really much needed inbound, awesome play to Jokić, who then gets it back to Westbrook, who sends it in for a 3, which really got the Nuggets fired up and ended the quarter a lot better than how it started. The second quarter actually does go to the Heat. They won that quarter 33-31, but the Nuggets still had a lead going into the half. The Nuggets had a 71-60 lead going into the half. So their 13-point lead of the first quarter ended up a 11-point lead in the second quarter. And then the third quarter starts, and MBJ gets the quarter off to a fantastic start with a much-needed 3. The defense of the Nuggets got the Heat another shot clock violation, and were able then to get their lead up to 18. Murray is the first player by this point to get to 20 points of the game, and Jokić gets an and 1. Continuing the Nuggets lead, expanding to 22 now. P-Watt gets a 3 to put all the starters into double digits, and the Nuggets finally get to their biggest lead of the night, which was 26. Then, which usually happens with the Nuggets when they get such a big lead, is that they get cocky and sloppy, which then causes the Heat to bring the lead down. And they were able to dwindle it down to 18 by this point. Jokić is already solidified at a triple-double. At this point, he has 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists, which is his 5th triple-double this season, and his 135th of his career, which is amazing. The Nuggets then I saw were ball watching and were not contesting threes. Like, again, there was like several players that were just like left wide open for a 3. But the Nuggets were luckily able to be the first to 100. And despite all this depleting energy that we see from the Nuggets at this point, they still managed to win the third quarter. They got a huge lead from this, and they should have won the third quarter by like 15 or 20. But because their energy started to slow down on the defense and everything, the Heat were able to still make a leap ahead. But the Nuggets ended up still winning the third quarter. They won it 33-30. And then the fourth quarter happens with, so like I said before, the Nuggets won the tip-off. So they didn't inbound the ball first for the second and third quarter. They inbound the ball for the fourth quarter. And Blue Arrow just like came out with Murray, and he scores his 24th point at the start of the fourth quarter. Russell Westbrook Brody assists P-Watt for an awesome highlight dunk. The lead is back up to 18 by this point. And in the fourth quarter at this point, Murray is a plus 27, Jokić is a plus 26, and MPJ is a plus 24. And if you don't know what a plus minus stat means, it is it indicates how many points a team gained or lost relative to the opponent when a player was on the floor. So I'm reading the actual definition here on Google here. But if a player, say player A, or let's say MPJ, if MPJ comes into the game and the Nuggets are up by 10, but they're tied when he exits the game, his plus minus for that stretch of when he was in there is now at minus 10 because you lost 10 points. So we're all clear for those who are not so savvy on the verbiage of stats. That's what a plus minus is, right? So they're all very high, those three starters. The bench is in the negative, they're minus. And this is now a stamina contest between the two of them in the fourth quarter here. Again, this is mile high. Miami is like, I think actually below sea level because it is like kind of slightly sinking or whatever. I think it's actually a little bit below sea level. So they are not used to this high elevation, despite how amazing athletes they are. Like the road trip that they're having right now is one of the most toughest. I will give them credit for that. They have a really tough schedule right now. And so coming into the Mile High Stadium where there's our players who have been now accustomed to playing at this high level, they it led down to a stamina. Everyone looked gassed, kind of more understandable for the heat, but they made a good run for it. And they were still coming hard with the defense. It was super aggressive, like to the point where they were then starting to foul because it was so aggressive. And they were able to get it down to an 11-point lead with the Nuggets. This is at the 58-second mark. Jokić gets an amazing steal and then passes it to CB, who then gets a dunk. And at the end of the fourth quarter, the Nuggets actually lose the fourth quarter 32-31. But they do win again, like I said, 135-122. So it was a lot of up and down, and a lot of that down was a lot caused by the bench and their kind of cocky or sloppy kind of playing that they just felt. I don't know if they just kind of thought that because they were up so high they didn't have to play like they were down. And that's one thing I'll give credit to a lot of those other teams like the Celtics and the right now the Cavs and even OKC, is that even when they are up, they're still playing like they are down. And the Nuggets need to get more in that mode. And I believe AG actually commented that to the guys who were playing at that moment, that play defense as if you are losing the game. And it kind of helped, but it still didn't really come out tonight. And no one won the defensive player of the game chain tonight, and I would understand why, because no one really had a great defensive night. I mean, you had little snippets of good defense, especially with P-Watt. P-Watt really shined with defense tonight, but he was really the only one. I think if you were to give that chain, it would be probably to him. Hey everyone, if you're looking for a game-changing webcam that keeps up with every move, you've got to check out the Insta360 link. It's a 4K AI-powered webcam that auto-tracks so you're always in frame, even if you're moving around. Perfect for live streams, meetings, content creating, also podcasts. It adjusts to light, zooms in and out, and follows you naturally. This is hands-free, hassle-free, studio-quality production for anyone who wants professional visuals right from the desk. Insta360 Link is a total game changer. At the end of this game, Murray ends with a plus 28. Jokić maintains a plus 26, and MPJ plus 24. And so that will actually lead us into the stats. The stats, MPJ was 21 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. He was 8 for 15 from field goal range. He was 5 for 10 in 3 points, so a 50% average there. He didn't go to the foul line at all tonight. He had 2 turnovers and 2 personal fouls. P-Watt had 16 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. He was 7 for 11 in field goal range, 2 for 3 in 3 points. And then he also didn't go to the free throw line tonight. And he had 0 turnovers. He was the only player tonight, besides Zeke Naji, surprisingly enough, who did not have a turnover at all tonight. So that's awesome for him. But he did have 3 personal fouls. He had the most personal fouls out of anyone tonight. And then we get to Jokić, who had a triple-double. He had 30 points, 11 rebounds, 14 assists, 2 steals, 11 for 13 in field goals, 1 for 1 in 3 points, 7 for 7 in free throws. He had 5 turnovers and 2 personal fouls. So he still had the most turnovers, but you also have to realize that because he's the top player on the Nuggets, he's getting double or triple teamed every single night, which will occasionally cause turnovers, especially if the guys aren't there to help him out and bail him out. And that happened several times. And there were also several bad passes where people just weren't watching. They weren't watching for where the ball was. They weren't staying alert. I was really surprised that we were able to still pull a win out of tonight, despite the kind of the inconsistency throughout the game. Christian Brown, CB, he had 21 points. Again, like he is having amazing minutes right now as a starter. He is phenomenal. 6 rebounds, 2 assists. He had 1 block. He was 7 for 9 in field goals. He was 3 for 4 in 3 points. He was 4 for 6 in free throws, 1 turnover, and 1 personal foul. Like, that is amazing minutes right there. Outstanding for CB. And then we get to Blue Arrow, Jamal Murray, my man. He had 28 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. He was 9 for 17 from field goals, 4 for 10 in 3 points, 6 for 6 in free throws. He had 4 turnovers and 0 personal fouls. So, I mean, like, and then no one in the bench got any double-figured points. So the high-scoring bench player tonight was Hunter Tyson, who had a couple of good plays, but overall, the Nuggets had 39 rebounds to the Miami's 33. Miami also had 33 assists, which we had 37. And then we had 5 overall steals. They had 11 overall steals. So, like, freaking shit, man. They had 1 block. We had 5 blocks. And then we had 17 overall turnovers. They had 11. They had 19 personal fouls. We had 13. So those 19 definitely come from them being so aggressive. But then the steals add to a lot of those turnovers that we had. They were not controlling the ball. But like in the fourth quarter, they were so aggressive that they weren't even allowing the Nuggets to inbound the ball. I was so worried that several times they were going to turn over the ball just from not being able to inbound it. It got really frustrating, I believe, for everyone there. Like, there was at one point, like, CB was inbounding the ball and he just had to call a timeout because he couldn't get the ball in at all. Like, everyone was covered by... Like, it seemed like there was 10 Heat people on the 10 Heat players on the court, but obviously there's only 5. But it felt like there was like 10 of them, and they were all over every single player tonight. It was really, hats off to them for that. They were playing hard, and they were definitely playing like they didn't want to lose again, but they did. Yeah, baby, Heat lost. Next up is the Mavericks. The Mavericks come in on Sunday, and they lost tonight. They are not very happy. Jason Kidd, in his post-game interview, was not very happy with the Mavericks, and so they're going to be definitely looking for a win. I hope that we are able to maintain our winning streak, especially at home. I don't want us to lose any more home games for sure. As a cinematographer, photographer, and now a podcaster, I do believe lighting is everything. And if you're serious about creating dynamic content, you need to check out Nanlite. They're all about precision and control. Whether it's soft, natural lighting, or vibrant colors, Nanlite gives you full flexibility to set the mood for any scene. From compact LEDs to powerful softboxes, Nanlite has light solutions that fit every setup. It's ideal for photographers, like myself, videographers, like myself, and creators who want to pro-grade quality right out on their fingertips. With Nanlite, you're lighting like a pro every time. My overall takeaways from this game: they need to maintain consistency. they are kind of lucking out right now with their wins. A lot of the fact that they're relying on the altitude, and that has kind of helped them and not really done anything at all in some games. I mean, we saw that in the first game of the season, right? OKC didn't even care about the altitude. And then this last game that we played against them, they didn't care about the altitude then either. We still won only by 2 points against them that time. And so a lot of these games, there's times where we are actually playing good basketball, but then we just slack off and we start to get, kind of comfortable with the lead, and we start to get cocky and sloppy and think that, okay, well, that's just a bucket. We'll be able to bounce back from this or whatever. And that has worked out for us so far, but it's not going to work out every single time. Like, we are getting lucky. We got lucky that the Heat have already had several losses from several, difficult games that they were playing. They flew to Mexico as part of their road trip and everything. So they easily could have won had this been the first game of their road trip, especially with, how we are slacking off a lot. So the bench needs to step up. Immensely, they need to step up. Like, whatever happened with that last OKC game, the bench needs to take that to every single game. Like, they were the best that they've been so far in that game. I can't stress that enough. And so whatever they need to do, get their orange slices, whatever. I don't like seeing the Nuggets be rated as one of the worst bench teams. And right now, the top teams in the Western Conference, number 1 seed is the Suns. They won again tonight, and they actually won against the Mavericks. And so you have them. They have an amazing bench right now. And then you also have the Warriors, Golden State Warriors, who also have a really good bench. Those are 2 teams that we have yet to play in the season so far. And when we play them, it's going to be really a difficult time for us if we're not able to get our bench up to a level, playing level against a good enough playing level against them, So that's one thing they need to really work on is their defense and their bench minutes, because everything else is great. The offense, phenomenal. The starters, perfect, or as close to perfect as you can get right now, but when I look at right now the lineup of teams out there, and a lot of the teams that we haven't played yet, the one team that scares me the most right now or worries me is the Cavs. They've gone on a 10-game winning streak. They won against the Warriors tonight for their 10th win of the season. They are a strong team this time around, and it's going to be a battle. Like, I'm glad to see that there's more than one dominant team in the East, but now you got really like 2 dominant teams in the East, because still a lot of the East is not really showing up. I mean, you have sub 500 teams on the East who are still making playoffs right now in the lineup or in the stats. Like, if the season were to end today, there are several teams in the East who are under 500 who would make it to the playoffs. Whereas in the Western Conference, if you're not making at least 500, you're not making the playoffs. You're not even making the play-in, more like it. So, I mean, it's just night and day of how much more difficult the West is compared to the East. But there are a couple of teams who are very worrisome, and one of them is the Cavs. They are showing to be a much more dominant team this year. I think they took their loss against the Celtics in the playoffs really hard, and they made a lot of changes. Impactful changes to their team and their roster and everything to get them into the right mindset to start this season off right, and they have not let off the gas at all. So I don't know when we play them. I think it's like later this month or early next month, but we do play them, or rather I think soon, actually. I think it's at the end of the month. So we have to be ready. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or but about it. I don't really like the in-season tournament. I've said this before. I think that the in-season tournament makes the NBA seem like it's a WWE kind of like multiple title kind of thing. The whole point of a season is that you are getting yourself to a championship. Why we need multiple championships in a sport other than, like martial arts or sport or sports entertainment, wrestling and everything. Like, other than those, I don't know why you would need, like, the NFL doesn't have multiple championships. They have the Super Bowl, and that's it. And so I don't like the in-season tournament, but if we are going to take it seriously, it would be nice to actually try to enter into this in-season tournament with some kind of goal ahead of winning it. If we were to come out of the season with nothing other than the in-season tournament cup, it would not be a failed season. So it would be nice to get that win, or at least get into the Vegas final, semifinals or whatever, because we didn't last season when it first started. So, but again, like, if we don't win, it's fine. The main goal is that championship, the NBA championship, finals championship. So that's all I got for this episode. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe. I'll be back here on Sunday when the Nuggets take on the Mavericks, Luka and Kyrie, and hopefully that we get a win there as well. Keep that winning streak going. But you've been listening to CS 105.1, where I talk about sports and movies with good vibes. I'll see you then.